Hey guys, and welcome to Blockchains Unchained, your go-to channel for the latest insights on all the blockchain projects, brought to you by the VC firm ICONPLUS Capital. I'm Layah Heilpern. Joining me today is Lee Parsons, the co-founder of Ditto Music, one of the largest online music distribution companies that's worked with major artists including Ed Sheeran, Sam Smith, and Chance the Rapper. And now Lee is ready to disrupt the music industry with Opulous, the first ever peer-to-peer NFT launchpad for music NFTs, with built-in royalty shares. Hi Lee, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm all right. It's really hot in England today, so I'm enjoying it. So what a good day. The market's looking good. I'm very good. Thank you.
Yeah, it is hot. I'm with you. It's pretty boiling here for absolutely no reason. So we'll have to just push through and survive this interview. So you've got a lot of interesting stuff going on. You've done a lot. You're doing a lot. But I'd like to start off really just understanding who is Lee. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Yeah, sure. So I guess my background is I've been in music ever since, I left school. Me and my brother, we started bands. We got signed to a label when we were quite young. And we spent like 2 years not releasing anything. Like I was still doing window cleaning in Birmingham, which I'm sure you're aware of Birmingham, not the best place. And we were just so frustrated, man.
Yeah.
And then after a few years, our single was supposed to come out on the Monday, and we got dropped by the label on the same day. So like they were never going to release it, I guess. So that was very disappointing. And then my brother and I, we went back to Birmingham, and we were still like doing the window cleaning and a few other things. And we were just like, man, I want to release my own music, without a record label. And the crazy thing is, this is like 2009, 2008. It was just impossible. Like you couldn't. We went to HMV and I said, can I put my song in there? And they just laughed at me because I was just like, unless you have a record label, you can't get into a record shop. So you're thinking, okay, well, I can't get into a record shop. So I can't get into the charts. I can't get on the radio because my song's not in the charts. So the whole system is just set up for everybody else apart from myself. So we thought, okay, we'll put our own song out. It took about 6 months. We made we kind of did it all ourselves. We started printing CDs, and then there was this new company called Spotify coming out, and we were looking into like the digital market. And it's really crazy now, but it was before anyone else was even interested in it. Major labels were still trying to sell CDs, and major labels still believe that, CDs were going to beat the internet. We put our own single out, didn't do really well. And then we were like, man, we've got a pretty good system here. Why don't we just go to our friends and say, look, we'll put your music out, pay us like a small fee. You can keep all the rights and all the money that comes in, just pays like £20. And that was the whole model of what we started, which is a company called Ditto Music. We had the first ever digital top 40 single in like 2007. First people to get a contract with Spotify outside the major labels. We had 11 top 40 singles, all digital top 40s, before a major label even had a digital top 40 single. And this was all from our little council flat in Birmingham. And then we grew that into like a really big company. It's like we have 500,000 artists on our roster now, everyone from all over the world. We've worked with everybody. Chance the Rapper is probably our biggest artist at the moment. But any band from Royal Blood to Sam Smith to anyone who's really come through and done anything, they've probably been on Ditto at some point because we allow artists to release independently and keep all their rights. And then obviously the last 4 years, I've been working in the blockchain space, which, as you know, is up and down, and it's really, there's loads of excitement at the moment. When you're building a bear market, it's very difficult to keep focused and keep interested. But there's no great feeling than going into the unknown, is there? And without developing what you're doing, you stagnate. So I've always been really interested in future technologies, and I've been building Opulous for around 3 years now. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. And we're going to launch it soon, which is really exciting.
What a crazy story. I love the fact that you sort of said, I've had enough. I want to make something for myself, so I'll just make it. And you didn't, rely on, I guess, I kind of call it the establishment in some ways, because it's like the established.
It much is, yeah. Because it's all like, all the major labels are just banks, really. They're just owned by banks. They were giving out, record deals. If you see anyone from the 90s or anyone who's had a number one song, they don't have any money, and you'll see it in the news. Yeah. It's because the major labels literally sign people. They take all their masters, 100% of the whole record goes to the major labels. They pay them back 9% of the of the net profit. So the gross goes on spending everything from a video, and every artist from the 90s who had an one single was in debt still. So that whole model was just like, this is ridiculous. So looking at it from coming into it from a generation who was brought up mostly on the digital side, it's like, man, this has to change. And luckily, there was a hunger in the market, and everyone else, felt the same.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, you are the CEO of Dito Music, but you're about to launch Opulous. So tell me about this. How is it bringing DeFi and NFTs into the world of music?
Yeah, so the first thing we started building was just a database to manage the data, because the problem in the music industry, as I was saying about the payments, is most of it is misplaced. Most countries, probably 90% of the payments aren't going to the correct people because the data is so vague. People, the major labels will hide most of the data. So the first thing we said was, okay, we'll just build a big back-end system that will collate all the data and do split payments and pay people properly. So we built that. Then we started working on a DeFi product, how a DeFi works is, if say someone on my books, on Ditto is earning probably 100 grand a month, right? And there's loads of people earning that amount, loads. I know what they're going to earn for the next 10 years because I've got their previous statements for the last 10 years, and I can comfortably predict, because of all the streaming sites like Spotify, YouTube. It's not like when you did CDs, we can see the data of it and what, predicts really well what it's going to earn. So the way the DeFi works is an artist will come in, they will ask for a loan based on their previous earnings. That loan will then go into the pool of money in the middle. The pool of money in the middle is made up of people staking money. So we have a partnership with USDC and all these kind of other crypto companies. So people staking stable coins can earn interest of, I don't know, maybe between 5 to 10%. And the way that interest works is the other person on the other side is taking out a loan, but it's actually backed by an asset, because a lot of the really successful blockchain DeFi companies like BlockFi, the only problem they're going to have is in the bear market. If you're backing it with your Bitcoin's going down, then you're a bit stuck. Then you're going to end up paying more money. But the beauty of what we're doing is, because the asset is continually being paid off every month, there's no risk to it. So we started building the DeFi product. We built that in Algorand, and they were one of our lead investors. They're doing really well actually this week as well. They've got loads of exciting things coming out. And then on the NFT side, I always believed that NFTs were more than what they currently are, which is people buying stuff to make. A lot of people are just buying them and flipping them, and the value of them is shooting up. But we're in a bull market, so once the market goes down, are people still going to pay wild prices for NFTs? I don't know. I hope they will, but I don't actually know that much about that side of the market. For me, as soon as I learned about NFTs, which is quite a while ago, it's like, okay, well, that's a really good way to document an asset of ownership of someone. So the way the NFTs work is, we have a partnership with a company called Republic, and Republic are, I think, the biggest crowdfunding platform in the world. They launched SpaceX. I think Binance were their lead investor, also AngelList. It's all the same people behind them. And what Republic have is an SEC license in every vicinity to sell splits of an asset. So what we're doing with Republic, we're doing the first NFT music copyright legal sales. We're taking a song from some really big artists, and then we're splitting it into maybe 1,000 pieces. And then the fans can go buy a piece of this song. That is an NFT. That NFT will end up being traded once we launch our exchange. So you can buy it. So say if you bought a song from Ed Sheeran 10 years ago, it'd obviously be worth a lot of money now. So from an investor point of view, it's very good. It's very speculative. And also they'll be getting paid every month as the artist gets paid. So if that song's earning 10 grand on Spotify, and there's 100 people in it, they'll all be getting £100 each or whatever. So that NFT is a security-backed NFT that is registered to an actual music copyright, and then we're using a database of what we built to kind of do all the split payments. And on the back of that, with how the DeFi product all kind of comes into it, is if you buy an NFT and it's making £1,000 a month, £1,000 a month, you can then go onto the DeFi platform, stake that as an asset, and say, okay, it's earning £1,000 a month. I want to get a loan for £5 grand, and you'll be able to do it that way. So what we create is an asset financial system based on music, but I think people's perception of music is probably, I don't know if people know how valuable the music industry is at the moment, but there's so much money. I think Spotify paying out billions and billions a month, so there's a lot of money there, and we're using all of that to be able to bridge to other assets.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really fascinating industry. There's a lot of hierarchies, as you mentioned earlier, and it's fascinating to see how much it's changed, and how this new technology is essentially coming in to help it evolve even more. You have touched on my next question, but I do want to get a little bit more information on it because I think it's really just the core point of all of this. So, in terms of investors and artists and their fans, how is it a game changer compared to other NFT specific platforms?
Yeah, so I haven't seen any NFTs really tackle assets yet. There's so many, obviously Chili's is doing really well, NBA Top Chips is doing well because they really got something that's really tradable. What I'm doing is looking at the broader picture over the next 10 years and saying, okay, well, an NFT is an asset that you can speculatively buy, but it's still tied to something. It's actually tied to something in the real world that has, financial value. And I haven't really seen anyone do it yet. So yeah, again, forgot the question, but I think we're talking about competitors, weren't we?
Yeah, just really just like how what you do is different to NFT specific platforms. I know Blau, for example, has done a lot, when it comes to music and owning the rights to that particular song.
I know Blau pretty well. We speak a lot, and he is actually coming at it. I'm going in with Republic, who offer registered, security. So that's actually no problem. Because the problem is, right, if you sell an asset and it's earning money every month to that person, is it classified as a security? Yeah, do you want to go and fight that out? I think what Blau is saying is it's not. And I kind of, I would kind of side with him as well. Yeah. But I guess for me, it was a bit, I didn't really want to take the risk and I wanted to do it the more legal way. But yeah, Blau's doing some really interesting stuff, man. I'm glad that other people are, because, we're not going to be on the platform doing it, but I think all of us can learn from each other.
Yeah, it's one of those industries where you constantly hear, actually not even constantly, it's something that I've been constantly hearing recently only, how the artists get the bad end of the deal. But in terms of the artists and the musicians, I do want to focus a little bit more on that. So what benefits do they get specifically from using the Opulous platform, the musician?
Yeah, so the main problem artists have, right, I've always had, is the fundraising part, because like I said, if you're an artist, I know artists who've signed a deal for £50,000 and they've literally never seen another check in 10 years, because at the time they needed that capital to live. So they signed a really bad record deal. And on the other side, it's like, what is the actual benefit of a major label? Because the way the major label structure works, if you're Dua Lipa, one of the artists at the very top, then your whole departments are pushing that record. But they've got hundreds and hundreds coming out each week you'll never have heard from, because no one's even working on those songs. So it's like, unless you're the top one, the major label's not really working on it anyway. So you have that on one side. On the other side, you have something, it's like an AngelList kind of model, which says, okay, well, we're just going to go to the fans and we're going to ask them to invest, and we'll let them, help the promotion, just as, the crypto. I've said this a few times, but, with Opulus, we gave most of our allocations that we took from VCs back in the end, and we did it all through community. And I know Elliot Trades did the same thing. He raised all of his money from his own community, and his token's done really well, because all those people are, they may have small allocations, but they're doing all the hard work for him, and because they're more engaged, it's their investment. If you take money from VCs, a good chance they're going to dump it and not do much. So what the music side is saying, that instead of taking a deal from a record label, getting, a bad percentage back and gauging your whole career on whether they do any work or not, just go to your own fans, because they're the people that care the most about your success and your music.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to talk about the Opal, OPUL token. So what are the benefits of holding this? Where does its value come from? Why would users want to hold this on the platform? Yeah, sure.
So if you look at any of the platforms like CodeStart or Downmaker, their token is very beneficial, because it gets you into all of the sales that they're doing. So Opulus will be having a ton of sales from really big artists that will obviously be really hard to get into. So the Opulus token holders will have first access to those. By staking the Opulus token, they will also get access to some really, really sick NFTs, which are fan experience NFTs, which will also be tradable on places like Binance. So one of the fan experiences that we're doing is you can actually, you can fly out to, I can't say where the country is, but it's like a mad country, to go and meet the artists and hang out with them and go to one of their concerts. And we'll be giving stuff out like that each week to people staking the token. All the NFTs that we're using, there will be special artwork and special things that will be going to the Opulous community holders. And like I said, these sales have been very hard to get into, but with the Opulous token, you're able to do that. And on the DeFi side, the token works like any token would, like on a DeFi platform, like a Sushi Swap, or even a Binance. It will be the trading token that we'll be using.
And I want to talk about the private fundraising. How did that go? Can you mention some of your big investors?
Do you know what? The ones that most excite me, right, the music investors. So I'm sure it'll be out by the time this interview goes out, but like Kashmir, he was an investor. He's like a really huge DJ. Kyle, one of my favorite hip hop artists, he was an investor. Some really random ones, man. There's a girl called LP. She had a massive song last summer called Lost on You. I think did about 400 million views. I can't mention that. You'll have to edit that out. There's loads of kind of music investors that will come out. On the VC side, we have loads of VCs, but like I said, I gave a lot of them their money back, and I'm actually more excited about. I think it's different, man. The 2017 bull run was all about, what VCs have you got, but then everyone worked out these VCs are just coming and dumping the token and just pushing the token. I think the 2021 bull run is all about your own community doing the work, and I think our community is so sick, man. And those are the people that excite me the most, investment-wise.
I also understand that you're keen on a fair launch to ensure sustainable continuous growth and more protection to your investors. So tell us more about the vision and your targets.
So as regards to fair launch, I think it's Ferrum Network that we're working with to make sure there's no bots on these, because that's one of the big things that goes wrong. You get all the bots buying it cheap and then dumping it. So that's a huge thing. We have a bunch of different staking platforms on the exchanges we're listing on. It's quite hard to comment on that one, but I know we spent several months working on something that will make sure the bots don't buy all the tokens at the bottom. So that's about the best I could say.
Okay, well, that's important. You want a fair launch, so that makes absolute sense. So what is next then? What can we expect in the next 12 months or even just the rest of 2021? Do you have any interesting partners coming up?
Yeah, so we have, obviously, the partnership with Public is a really, really big partnership. I think it's the only one, they've never done anything like this before. They've actually been creating a platform similar for the last 12 months and working on all the legalities. That is a huge one I'm excited about. There's a bunch of other ones I can't really talk about yet because I don't know when they're coming out. Let me think what I can say. There's a few, on the DeFi side, we're working with a platform called Yieldly, who are really, really sick. They've actually got 100 million in tokens already locked up on their platform, and they're on the Algorand network as well. Algorand have committed a substantial amount of money onto the DeFi platform to help Algorand stakers and stuff. They've been a really good backer. They've got loads of capital and they're very successful. And on the music side, you will definitely see more music partners coming through. But I think we're announcing anything until October.
All right, well, we'll have to catch up with you in the new year then. But Lee, I want to thank you so much. It's been so interesting to hear more about your background and more about Opulous.
All right, cheers. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thanks so much, guys, for watching. And don't forget, if you want to learn more about Opulous, then you can head to the website, opulous.org, and just follow them on Twitter.